What's up guys, hope you're having a good day. In this video we are going to be digging for good value tournament prop bets for Copa America 2024. Now if you don't know what the Copa America is, it's basically the international football tournament for teams in the Americas. So you've got the World Cup where teams from all over the world compete, Africa, Asia, America and Europe. Then they've got their own individual tournaments like the African nations, you've got the Asian Cup, you've got Copa America, and you've also got Euros or the European Championships, and Euro 2024 is taking place right now. Of course, I put out a separate video for tournament props for Euro 2024. I'll leave a link for that in the description below. Because the tournament's been running for about a week, many of those bets, you won't be able to tail them anymore, but I'll leave a link below anyway. Maybe you can sift through it, find some props in there you like, which you can still play. And yeah, this video will hopefully enable us to find some good value props Copa America 2024 that will hopefully enable us to earn a bit of profit. We do tend to perform well on tournament props. As you can see, since I started to track my profit and loss on tournament props, we're up about 16 units. So we made about 13 units of profit back on the World Cup, lost about 5 units on the Europa League, then made about 8 units on the Champions League, which ended a few weeks ago. So it'll be interesting to see how we do across the Euros and the Copa America, and hopefully we can keep this uptrend going. Also, if you want to receive my live betting tips for Copa America 2024 and Euro 2024, then I'll also leave a link in the description below to my football betting service. Give it a try. I think you will like it a lot. And is there anything else for us left to talk about? I don't think so, other than obviously warning you that tournament props are obviously very, very risky. Any kind of prop bet where you need a lot of different things to kind of go in your favor in order to win are going to be risky. There will be a lot of bets in this video. I like to take kind of a spread betting approach to props, where I do place a hell of a lot of bets, which is why we're in a position to win something like 13 units on the World Cup or 8 units on the Champions League. But bankroll management is really important with these kind of bets. Don't go too big, don't go too crazy. Look at them as a way to hopefully make a bit of extra cash, but primarily to make watching the tournament more fun. It gives you a vested interest in games that you might not have had, otherwise that much interested in if, we bet, for example, on a team to get out of the group or get into a quarter-final, or a player in a certain team to finish top goal scorer for that team, right? These are all about a bit of fun. Hopefully we can make some money at the same time, but you need to protect yourself from obviously taking big losses, because bets like this are very risky. And of course, whenever we're placing the kind of volume of bets that we will be placing in these videos, there's a risk they could all lose. It's just the way it is. Bankroll management, always very, very important, especially with this kind of bet where we're taking more of a high volume spread betting approach. So the way that this is going to work is we're going to be using Bet365 to dig for tournament props on Copa America, simply because they've got the widest range of prop bets on this tournament out of any site I've seen. So this isn't endorsed or sponsored or anything like that. It's just that they give you the most things to bet on, which makes obviously a video like this a lot more interesting, because we can take a much deeper look into the tournament, try and find good value on lots of different types of bets that are probably not going to be available on some sites. And before we get into digging for bets on Bet365, what we need to do is map out the tournament so that we can kind of plan out how the group stages are likely to go, plan out how the knockout stages are likely to go, who's likely to win the tournament, all that kind of stuff. And then once we've mapped the whole tournament out, we'll be able to look at which groups feature teams that are likely to have high scoring games and all that kind of stuff, which will make it easier for us to predict top goal scorers in each team and for the tournament and that kind of thing. So we'll map the tournament out, how it's most likely to go, look at all the final squads for each nation, and then we'll dig into looking for bets. So the first thing we need to do is work out how the groups are most likely to finish. So we'll start with Group A. We can see at the moment the nations are listed alphabetically. So I think we can all agree Argentina. I am wearing my Diego Maradona t-shirt, but I'm not biased. I think we can all agree that Argentina will probably finish top of this group. They won the World Cup. They have an amazing squad and by far the strongest nation in this group. Second place, this is where things get interesting. Canada, Chile, Peru. Obviously, Chile and Peru have been very successful South American nations for a very long time now. They frequently qualify for World Cups. Canada, not so much. The last World Cup, one of the first they qualified for, I think, in probably forever. And so Canada are kind of the new kids on the block, right? They've got some world-class players in their team. If we take a look at their squad, guys like Alphonso Davies from Bayern Munich, obviously Jonathan David, dangerous striker for Lille, Tajon Buchanan, deadly winger for Inter Milan. So when you look at Canada, they're definitely a very credible and serious team these days, whereas that wasn't the case probably just 4 or 5 years ago. And when it comes to like Chile, Peru, clubs like countries like this, perhaps they're not what they once were. So what we need to do, if we're all in agreement that Canada are likely to finish top of this group, we need to take a look at Canada, Chile and Peru to see which nation's likely to finish third. And it's worth noting that the Copa America is not like the Euros or the African nations where they have ranking of third place teams, where basically the best performing third place teams can also qualify out the group. The Copa America keeps it simple, keeps it traditional, where only the top 2 nations qualified the knockout stages. So it's really important we get this bit right. So if we look at Canada, the area of the Canadian team that I have big concerns for is the defence. Obviously Alphonso Davies is a world-class left back, world-class right back, wherever side they want to play him. But the rest of the defence is very, very dodgy. Very, obviously they're going to be wide open at the back. Now, they've got a solid midfield. Ishmael Coney from Watford, Osorio, Eustachio from Porto. Very, very solid midfield. And in attack, they've got pace for days. Very, very dangerous. Buchanan, Schaffelberg, Russell Rowe, Jonathan David. Very, very good front line. So, in attack, Canada are very strong. In defence, very, very weak. If we look at Chile, world-class goalkeeper in Claudio Brava. And when you look at their back line, even though there are no really big names in this back line, so to speak, what we know about, the nations in which these players are playing in, Argentina, Mexico, Argentina, Brazil, even Chile here, we know that generally speaking, most defences in these nations are extremely well organised. So we know Chile are going to be a very, very well organised team, difficult to break down. Let's see what they've got in attack. So in midfield, again, you've got a lot of players from nations which are generally very, very good defensively, but not necessarily the most creative. So you've got Mexico, Argentina, Chile, another Chilean club here. So going to be maybe lacking in a bit of creativity in midfield. Up front, you look at what Chile have got up front. Alexis Sanchez, obviously, better days are probably behind him. Brereton Diaz has obviously been a goal machine in the Championship for Blackburn Rovers, and now obviously he's playing with Sheffield United. Hasn't had time to find his feet yet, but I'm sure he's going to do very, very well there. And then outside of that, most of the other attackers, you've got, Colo Colo, University de Chile, their Chilean clubs, CSKA Moscow, Midtjylland. For me, there's not a lot of obviously world-class quality in this Chile team. Judging by the clubs they play for, the nations they play for, Chile are probably going to be very, very well organised defensively, but possibly lacking a bit of creativity in attack. Obviously, dangerous target man in Brereton Diaz. He's an absolute goal machine. But outside of that, he might be a little bit isolated, in my opinion. So Chile, kind of the opposite of Canada. Canada very weak defensively, strong in attack. Chile the opposite way round. Good in defence, probably not so good in attack. So now if we look at Peru, we can see that their back line consists of players from Argentina, Mexico, MLS, Peruvian Premier League, midfield, MLS, Sweden, Mexican Premier League, Portuguese Premier League, and then up front, Lapadula for Cagliari. Outside of that, a lot of players from the Peruvian Premier League, Alianza Lima, Universitario, Sporting Cristal. That's going to be an issue. That is going to be a real issue. So when I look at these three squads, there's no doubt that Peru are the weakest squad, in my opinion. So we can leave them in last place. And second place for me is going to come down to between Canada and Chile. Now, we've spoken about how both Canada and Chile are kind of yin and yang, the opposites of one another. Canada very strong defensively, very strong in attack, weak in defense. Chile very weak in attack, very strong in defense. So, this is actually a tricky one. This is actually a tricky one. It's actually a tricky one. It's very tricky because South American football as a style is very defensive, is very sweaty, is very tight. Games are won from solid defenses, which Chile definitely have, and Canada definitely do not have. However, this Copa America is being held in the United States. You'd think there would be a lot of Canadians in the crowd supporting their home nation. They do have world-class attackers in Tajon Buchanan, Jonathan David. They're very, very lacking defensively. This is a really tough one, but it's important we get it right. This is a tough one because we know Brereton Diaz has got a lot of goals in him. We know Chile are going to be well organised defensively. But with this being in the United States this year, is this Canada's year to sneak through the group stage? They qualified for their first ever World Cup in 2022. Group A is very difficult to pick the second spot for. I'm going to go with Canada. I'm going to go with Canada. It's a bit of a coin flip. I'm going to go with Canada purely based on the fact that, you know, this tournament's being held in the United States. I think there'll probably be a lot of Canadians in the crowd cheering their team on. And I do think this Canadian team is full of a lot of young, hungry players that work well as a team and are very passionate about doing well for their nation. So we will go with Canada number 2. It's a tough pick between Canada and Chile. I do feel Peru will probably finish bottom of this group. So if we look into Group B, and again we remember that South American football is very, very, you know, defensive orientated, being very, very tight and sweaty. Straight away we can see that Venezuela, Mexico and Ecuador are all going to be very familiar with playing within that style, within that system, whereas Jamaica are going to be a little bit more like Canada, used to the more open style of football, and therefore maybe a little vulnerable in this group, but at the same time similar to Canada. We know the likes of Mikel Antonio, Leon Bailey, Damari Gray, they're going to have a lot of quality up front in attack that a lot of the other clubs in this group probably do not have. I doubt any other clubs actually any other countries in this group actually have that level of quality. So if we look at the squads for Group B, take a look at Ecuador. So Huracan, El Diaquito, Independiente del Valle as their goalkeepers. Okay, backline, Hincapié, amazing for Leverkusen. Pacho, Torres, Ordonez, so Club Brugge, Pachuca, Proyes, Red Bull Bragantino, Sparta Prague. So Ecuador probably pretty solid at the back. We know Hincapié, Pacho, solid defenders. Midfield, Casado from Chelsea. A little bit of a blend there from Europe and South America, but mainly South American players. Cruzeiro, Atletico Mineiro. Alright. And then up front, Valencia still playing. Of course, he plays in Brazil now. Kevin Rodriguez from Royal Union Saint-Gilloise. And Jordi Caicedo, who's actually awful. And I'd be surprised if he got any game time at all. Okay. So Ecuador's squad, not actually as strong as I thought it would be. Not actually as strong as I thought it would be. What I would say about Ecuador is that next to Argentina, they're probably the most balanced team we've looked at so far. We take a look at Jamaica. Obviously, they should have Andre Blake in goal from Philadelphia Union. At the back, obviously, defensively is always going to be a bit of an issue for Jamaica when you see them calling up players from Jamaican clubs like Cavalier Soccer Club or Scottish Premier League, Heart of Midlothian. Backline going to be a bit of an issue for Jamaica. I mean, they've even called up a free agent, which is never a good sign. Midfield, Bobby Reed from Fulham, obviously top class player. And then up front, Mikel Antonio, Leon Bailey, Damari Gray. So three very, very good attacking line. That'll probably be one of the best attacking lines in the entire tournament. But obviously, again, South American football is very sweaty, very defensive based. And just like Canada, Jamaica have got real issues in that area. So there's no doubt that Ecuador are a more well-balanced team. But they certainly do not have the firepower that Jamaica have. If we look at Mexico, you know, when we were making the Euro 2024 video, we spoke about some nations like Croatia, which I feel are on a bit of a decline, living off a bit of a name. I do feel the same is happening with Mexico. For me, nowhere near the nation they once were. We'll take a look at their squad though. I watch a lot of Mexican Premier League football, so I'm quite familiar with a lot of these players. As you can see, a lot of their players do play within the Mexican Premier League. We look at midfield, Alvarez from West Ham. But again, a lot of players from within the Mexican Premier League. And then if we look at the front line, Jimenez from Feyenoord. No Raul Jimenez from Wolves. Interesting. Okay, this Mexican squad looks pretty weak to me. Now, to be fair, we know that there will be a lot of Mexicans at Mexico's games in this tournament, giving them a lot of support. Whenever we see Mexico play in the United States, there's obviously a huge Mexican contingent. Mexican Americans that go to watch and support Mexico. So even though Mexico aren't a host nation, they probably will have home advantage in a lot of their games, which will help them. But this squad, particularly weak for me. Particularly weak. Particularly weak. Alright, Venezuela. Okay, so Venezuela. So what's interesting is not too many players in this Venezuelan squad which actually play in Venezuela. Most of them look like they're actually playing in Europe. Solomon Rondon's still playing, but hasn't had the best time in Mexico. Alright, Group B. Alright. So this is where we need to refer a little bit to recent form to see if that can give us any clues as to how this group is likely to go. So what I'm going to do, based on the squads, I'm going to map out how I think this group is likely to go based on the squads. And then we will take a look at the form. This is not too far off where I think how it's likely to end, actually. I think Ecuador will likely finish top. They're the most well-balanced team in the group. Venezuela will likely finish bottom, the weakest team in the group. Second and third, just like second and third in Group A, is going to be tricky. Because even though Jamaica will have one of the strongest front lines in the tournament, We know they're very weak defensively. So will Mexicans better balance home advantage, carry them through to the knockout stages, even though they don't have the quality, the goal scoring quality up front that Jamaica do. So let's look at recent form and see how they've been playing. So let's first of all start off with Mexico. In fact, what I will do, just so that we don't have to keep flicking back and forth like this, let's bring up all 4 nations in the group and just take a little bit of a look at form to see how they've been doing. Okay, so as you can see, Ecuador in pretty good form. They don't lose very often. They've only lost 3 of their last 11 against Argentina, Italy and Argentina, which are 3 really, really good nations. So outside of the losses to Senegal, Australia, they're only really losing to the absolute cream of the crop. If we look at Venezuela, not the best form. Not the best form. They don't look like they have many goals in them either. Failed to score there, failed to score, failed to score, failed to score. So form not as great for Venezuela, especially in these competitive games in South America. I know the games were a long time ago, but form not the best. We go a bit further back for Ecuador, you can see much more consistent form. Alright, Jamaica. Obviously, Jamaica are going to be deadly on the counter-attack with Damari Gray, Leon Bailey, Mikel Antonio, but then they don't have much strength in depth when those 3 guys start to get tired, right? As you can see, pretty good form, recent form from Jamaica. Pretty good recent form. Although the thing about CONCACAF is it's a way lower standard of opposition than obviously teams like Venezuela and Ecuador are going to be playing. So not as impressive. You can see a bit of a mixed bag from Jamaica. If we look at Mexico, so Mexico, who I'm really, really interested in, because their squad does look particularly weak. And you can see not the best form recently, but you don't want to put too much weight on friendlies. But there's not a lot of quality in this Mexican team. Alright, so this one's tricky. So I am going to go we're going to go Ecuador top. And then do I go for home advantage and work rate of Mexico or the quality of Jamaica? I'm going to go like that. But I don't feel great about it. Very, very similar to Canada, Chile. I don't feel great about it. And I've actually done the opposite here. I've actually gone in favour of the team with more firepower up front in Group A. And I've done the opposite by putting the team in the similar position, Jamaica in 3rd. And the main reason being, I've seen Mexico play in the United States before, and the Mexican fans pack the arena and make it a really, really, really intimidating atmosphere for the opposition. And I don't think any other club in this group are really going to have anywhere near that level of support. And I do think home advantage is big in tournaments like this. So we'll go with Mexico, but I do think their squad's particularly weak this year. Okay, if we take a look at Group C, so just going to rejig this very quickly. I would go Panama probably bottom, Bolivia probably 3rd, USA probably 1st, Uruguay probably 2nd. Even though Uruguay are, I believe, 3rd favourites to win the group, win the whole tournament after Argentina and Brazil. This is what I'm going to initially go for, because once again, whenever the USA play at home in the UFC, USA. The fans are absolutely brilliant. Home advantage is huge, and obviously USA have got a lot of quality players. Nations like the USA and Canada, even Jamaica, they're not like they used to be. They're not a joke of a country in football as they used to be. They've got real quality in the team. If you look at Jamaica's front line, Damari Gray, obviously Leon Bailey, Mikel Antonio and Bailey, you know, two absolutely top attackers in the Premier League for West Ham and Aston Villa. And you don't see any other nations outside like Brazil and Argentina that really have that, right? You don't see players, you know, in the Mexican squad or the Chilean squad, you know, playing multiple players playing in the Premier League. So yeah, I think we're seeing a bit of a paradigm shift. But obviously, we do want to take a full look at the Uruguay and Panama, USA, and Bolivian squads. See how we feel about it, because I'm very unsure about third and fourth place as well. I know Panama are very well organised, so we'll take a look. So at the back, we have got pretty much the entire back line play in the Bolivian Premier League, apart from this guy who plays in the Russian Premier League and this guy that plays in the Brazilian second tier. Midfield, pretty much the entire midfield play in either Ecuador or Bolivia, and then up front, Bolivia. Okay, so this is a particularly weak squad. When you look at Bolivia's form, it will probably look very good, because what you find with Bolivia is that they play at very, very high altitude. So Bolivia's home form tends to be very good, but then when they play outside of Bolivia, they do tend to struggle pretty bad. So it might be worth looking at Bolivia's away form to get a truer reflection of the level that they're actually at. And if we take a look at Panama's squad. So, okay, so Panama's squad is a lot stronger. They've got players from all over the world playing at a decent level. So, based on that, we will actually adjust our ranking. We'll have Panama in third place, Bolivia fourth. So, top spot is between USA and Uruguay. This will not be an easy pick. So if we look at the United States squad, Ethan Horvath plays for my hometown club, Cardiff City. Very solid goalkeeper. Keeper I'm very familiar with. Of course, Matt Turner's probably going to be the guy in between the sticks for the United States. But Horvath, solid keeper all the same. Got to shout his name out. So at the back, Carter Vickers, very solid. Very, very solid. Tim Ream, brilliant. Left or right back, wherever side you want to play him. Fulham. Anthony Robinson, the other side, very, very solid. So the USA, not a bad back line, actually. Not a bad back line. Probably have Tim Ream, Carter Vickers, centre backs, pretty solid. Midfield, Tyler Adams, Musa, Weston McKennie's a bit hit and miss, to be fair. Tillman, excellent for PSV. I don't rate Giovanni Reina personally, but a little bit of backup. Solid midfield for United States. And up front, Brendan Aronson, brilliant. Balogun, brilliant. Pulisic, obviously, Captain America. Josh Sargent, brilliant. And then Haji Wright, brilliant. I don't really rate Georgie Weah. Georgie Weah, call him by his dad's name. I don't really rate Tim Weah or Ricardo Pepi very highly, if I'm honest. But Haji Wright, very good out and out striker, a sniper, a good danger man to bring on late in games. Aronson, Sargent, brimming with energy, creativity, high work rate. Pulisic, great player. All right. I like it. United States squad, very good. Very, very strong. Uruguay, let's take a look at Uruguay's back line. So Caceres, fucking been playing forever. Jimenez from Atletico. Oliveira from Napoli. Araujo, obviously one of the best centre-backs in the world at Barcelona. Very solid back line for Uruguay. Midfield, Ugarte from PSG, Bentancur from Spurs, Valverde from Real Madrid. Oh my god, this midfield. Whew. Ah, Jesus, that's a fucking strong midfield. And then up front, Darwin Núñez. Luis Suarez still doing a damn thing in the MLS. Alright, okay, that's a pretty fucking good squad as well. Okay. So what I would say about the USA is that I feel similar to Canada. They are very dangerous going forward. They are very, they've got a lot of creativity, a lot of firepower in attack. Their defense is a real issue though, and even their best defenders are attack-minded defenders. When you think about the way that, you know, Robinson, yeah, USA a bit dodgy at the back, man. Uruguay kind of the opposite. Uruguay are kind of the opposite. But they're way more well balanced. I mean, their midfield's amazing. Okay. God, this is fucking difficult, man. I didn't think this would be difficult. This is way more difficult than the Euros. This is way more difficult than the Euros. Who are we going for top spot? We'll do that for now. Uruguay are a very strong team. They're going to be much more solid at the back, way more well organised than USA with a squad like that. But I'm quite happy that Panama and Bolivia are a level. They're going to be a level below Uruguay and USA. They're not going to be making it out of this group, or at least I'd be very surprised if they did. If we then look to the final group, Brazil, Colombia, Costa Rica, Paraguay. Let's take a look. At the squads. Let's take a look. Okay, so Brazil, Alisson at the back, or Alisson in goal. At the back, Marquinhos, Beraldo, Magalhães, Gabriel Magalhães, Eder Militão, Bremer. Fuck me. Take your pick of world-class centre-backs in there. So defence rock solid. Midfield, Bruno Guimaraes, Paqueta, Douglas Luiz. Bit of a headless chicken, but okay, very nice. Up front, Martinelli, Rafinha, Rodrigo, Vinicius Jr. Fuck me, how many world-class attackers you want in there? So Brazil, man, Brazil. While we're here, let's quickly take a look at the Argentinian squad. We didn't actually take a look at it because we just accepted they would win the group. Let's actually take a look at it and try and think about who the strongest nation are in this entire tournament, because Brazil are obviously the strongest nation we've seen so far with this squad. Let's take a look at Argentina, the current world champions. So Martinez in goal, Montiel, Otamendi, Romero, Tagliafico, Martinez, Molina, Acuna. Midfield, Paredes, McAllister, DePaul, Palacios, Fernandez, Lo Celso, Di Maria. Okay. Up front, Messi, Garnacho, Gonzalez, Martinez, Alvarez. Okay. They're going to be a very well organised team. I feel Argentina are better as a team unit than Brazil as well. Brazil probably have the stronger squad on paper, but as a team, as a unit, I feel like Argentina are more solid. They work better together, team spirit, all that kind of stuff. Whereas with Brazil, maybe a bit more of a team of individuals. So, let's take a look at Colombia, Costa Rica, Paraguay. So, Colombia, Ospina should be in goal for them, I would imagine. At the back, Davinson Sanchez, Jerry Mina should be centre backs, I would imagine. Midfield. Alright, up front. Duran's had a pretty good season for Villa. Will be interesting to see if he gets a lot of game time in this tournament because he's a very good striker. Obviously, Luis Diaz, world class from Liverpool. Alright, okay. Costa Rica. So they've got quite a lot of players that play in the Costa Rican Premier League, which is never a good time. Never a good sign. Teams like Alajuelense, Herediano, and Saprissa. Never a good sign. Never a good sign. All right, and then Paraguay. All right. So, Paraguay have a decent amount of quality. You know, Almiron and Ciso from Brighton. Costa Rica definitely the weakest squad in this group. Brazil should win the group. Second and third is between Colombia and Paraguay. So, this is a very difficult one. Because Colombia have got more quality in the team, there's no doubt about that. But Paraguay are always well organised and difficult to play against. Which goes a long way. So this one's tricky. Paraguay are always difficult to play against. But Colombia do have a lot more quality. We will go Colombia just because goals win games. They do have a lot more quality than Paraguay. But again, second and third spot, it's not an easy pick there. So now we will progress on to the knockout stages. And we'll see how this is likely to play out. So, very confident Argentina will beat Mexico. Ecuador, Canada, very tricky. Very, very tricky. Very, very, very tricky. Again, Canada's defense will cost them at some point. Will it cost them here? Will it cost them here? Will they make it through? You know what? God, you know what? This is way more difficult to predict than the Euros. This is tougher. So go Uruguay there. Oh, God. Ecuador, Canada. We will go Ecuador. Reluctantly. But, man, Canada do have a lot of firepower. I just think without a defence, a decent defence, you can only go so far. Brazil, USA, man. Brazil, USA. So, obviously, the obvious sensible pick is Brazil. We'd have to be crazy to go with any other team. All I will say is, I wouldn't be surprised if the United States cause an upset here and beat them. Just for a couple of reasons. First reason being, USA are the home nation. Home advantage is going to be huge, and I've seen how big the fans get behind the USA when they play at home. Second reason is that, like I say, sometimes I watch Brazil and they're a team of individuals. They don't play well as a team, play well as a unit. If they do, USA is screwed. But I do think, USA could catch them on an off day, home advantage, crowd behind them, and cause a big upset. How likely is it? Not super likely, but it's possible. But we'll go with those for our semi-finalists. And then again, Argentina should beat Ecuador. And I will say the same thing that I said about the USA and Brazil. I will say about Uruguay. Uruguay obviously don't have home advantage like the USA do, but they do have a much more balanced team, and a much better organised than the USA, so could cause Brazil problems in their own ways. So we'll go Brazil, and then for the final, I would pick Uruguay to beat Ecuador for third place. Not that it really matters. And then for the actual overall winner of the tournament, Brazil, Argentina. Very, very tricky. Very, very tricky. Like I say, Brazil have more quality, better class of player in their team. Argentina are the better team. They work better together as a unit. Harder working as well. Better organised. I would go Argentina, but may as well flip a coin on the final if these two get to the final, which they probably will, because the way that the tournament has been set up is to basically make sure that Brazil and Argentina can't play each other on the tournament tree. So now that we've mapped the tournament out, let's dig through the tournament props, see if we can find some good value bets. So what's interesting to me about the outright winner props is if you were to bet one unit on Argentina, you make 1.75 profit. If you were to bet one unit on Brazil, you would make 2.25 units profit. And so if you placed a bet on both these teams to win the tournament, obviously if Brazil won, you'd lose a unit on Argentina, so your gain would be 0.75 units. If you bet a unit on Argentina to win, and they did, obviously you'd lose a unit on... Basically what I'm trying to say is, if you bet a unit on both Argentina and Brazil to win the tournament outright, as long as one of these teams does win the tournament outright, you'll be in profit overall, right? You'll either make 0.75 units if Argentina win or 1.25 units if Brazil win. I'd be very, 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 very surprised if any other nation were to win this tournament. It's not impossible. I would just be really surprised if it happened. And I think risking 2 units to earn 1 unit profit is potentially not a bad idea going for Brazil and Argentina here. But I think there may be some other ways to bet that as we progress through looking at all the different betting lines. But we'll keep that in mind. I would be really, 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 really surprised if any other nation won. The only other nation I would give a reasonably good chance to would be the United States, just purely based on the fact that they're home nation. And as we know in international tournaments, sometimes that home advantage enables teams to elevate themselves to a whole new level. USA would have the crowd behind them big time in the knockout games. You imagine if USA made it to a semi-final or a final, it's going to be huge. And so if any team were to beat Argentina or Brazil in this tournament, I think it would be the USA. But it ain't going to be easy. It's not going to be easy, especially with how bad the United States defense is. I mean, what would their path be? They'd have to play Brazil. Yeah, they'd have to play Brazil in the quarterfinals. I mean, imagine fucking Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr. running at that American backline. I mean, it would not be pretty. So we'll keep that in mind as we progress through. So top goal scorer. So what I'm looking for when it comes to top tournament goal scorer is which player is going to be on penalties and free kicks for their nation, because obviously if you get penalties you've got a lot more opportunity to score than any other player on your team. And then I'm also looking at which teams are in groups where they could potentially get the most goals. So if you've got a team that's in a group full of a lot of tight, very defensive nations like Paraguay or Chile, it's going to be harder to get goals than if you're in a group with countries like Jamaica or Canada that play much more open football. Although to be fair, generally most teams in this tournament will play tight, sweaty, defensive orientated football. So if we look at the two favourites, Vinicius Jr., Lionel Messi, we got Darwin Núñez, Lautaro Martinez, Rodrigo, Julian Alvarez. Okay, so obviously Messi is going to be on penalties for Argentina, so it would be foolish of us to pick any other player to finish top goal scorer for Argentina. It will be difficult for them to outscore Messi because he can get goals from open play, free kicks and penalties. For Brazil, I don't actually know who the penalty taker for Brazil is. I would guess it would be Vinicius Jr. Who is the penalty taker for Brazil's international team? I'm guessing it would be Vinny. It actually might not be. It might actually be Lucas Paqueta. It was Neymar, obviously, but these days, who knows? I'm not getting a definitive answer from Google. Let me try ChatGPT. Let's see what ChatGPT tells us. Who is most likely to take the penalties for Brazil in Copa America 2024? For the Copa America 2024, the most likely card. This is not useful at all. Never. Oh god, this is not useful. So Neymar obviously isn't in the tournament. Let me just go to Brazil. So Neymar's not in the tournament. Gabriel Jesus isn't in the tournament. Richarlison isn't in the tournament. Casemiro isn't in the tournament, and Rodrigo is. So on that note, most likely player to finish top goal scorer in the tournament is going to be Lionel Messi. But that would definitely change if Vinny was on pens. I have a feeling it'll be Paqueta taking him. Let's take a look at the groups again, actually. Let's take a look at the groups. Because the thing about Argentina is they're typically not a high-scoring team. They're more, go a goal or two up and sit kind of team. Not so much with Brazil. Brazil are all-out attack. However, they are playing in a group with three very defensive-minded teams. Panama, Bolivia, Uruguay, quite sweaty as well. This is the most open group out of all the groups, Group B. There's no players within those nations that I think could get bags of goals. I was just thinking about potentially going for an outside shot on Pulisic to finish top goal scorer for the tournament. But it probably isn't smart because, first of all, USA are likely to go out in the quarterfinals. So other nations will get more games, which means they'll have, players for those nations will have opportunities to play in those games and get more goals. Also, Bolivia, Panama, and Uruguay are very sweaty, defensive-orientated nations. So I can't see the USA getting tons of goals in that group. What is interesting, though, is, remember we weren't too sure about who would finish top of the group, if it would be Uruguay or the USA. If USA were to win the group, that means they would then play Colombia, which I think they would beat. Which would then mean they would play Brazil in the semis, and then Argentina or Brazil would only play one more game than USA, which would be the final, which then makes Pulisic a lot more attractive. So who else would be in with a shout? So Enner Valencia is on pens for Ecuador. Did I miss Palestri? I didn't think I saw his name. Is he in the tournament? Did I just miss his name? Oh wow, he is at the tournament. Wow, okay, well yeah, he's fucking good as well for Uruguay. Alright, that makes Uruguay stronger. Yeah, I don't like any of the top goal scorers actually. I mean, Pulisic is tempting at 41.0. Because he's on penalties, he's on free kicks, he scores from open play. If USA were in a more open group... Oh, fuck. Oh my god. Has it just undone everything that we did? Oh no, it's still there. If USA were in this group, I would be way more inclined to take USA, Pulisic to finish top goal scorer. Just thinking, what is Argentina's group like? Canada, Chile, Peru. It won't be easy to get goals in that group in the Chile and Peruvian games. And they're not the kind of fucking nation to just massacre teams either. They'll go 2 goals up and they'll sit. I am actually going to have a gamble on that. So that'll be our first prop. And like I say again, the 2 main reasons why I will go Pulisic top goal scorer 41.0, it's not the most likely outcome, but I do think it's a good value bet for 2 reasons. The first reason being, America are very, very good at home. If this tournament were taking place anywhere else in the world, there's no way I would be betting this. But the United States are very, very, very good at home. Pulisic is on free kick penalties, scores from open play, everything goes through him, and USA are a very attack-minded team. If USA finish top of their group, it would mean they'd likely make it to the semi-finals, in which case Argentina and Brazil would only play 1 more game than them. So it's not like Messi would play tons more games than the USA. If Paqueta is top goal, if Paqueta is on pens for Brazil, then it reduces the chances of Vinicius Jr. finishing top goal scorer for Brazil. And even though USA are in a sweaty, defensive-minded group, so are Argentina and so are Brazil, with the exception of Canada in this group. And I don't think Bolivia will be that effective at holding on against USA either, to be fair. Whereas that ain't an easy group. Colombia, Paraguay, Costa Rica, it will be difficult to get goals in this group. In terms of goal scoring, Brazil's probably in the most difficult group to score goals in. They'll walk the group, but it won't be easy to get goals against these 3 teams. Never is. So because I do think, so if you're asking me who is the most likely player to finish top goal scorer, I would say Lionel Messi, because I think Argentina are most likely to win the tournament, which means Messi will play the most games, and he's on free kicks, and he's on penalties, and he can score from open play. But obviously at 4.0 plus 300 with so many of the players in the tournament, it's a bad bet. I mean, what happens if Messi gets injured in the first game? You know, we bet Kylian Mbappe to finish top goal scorer in the Euros. That bet's probably dead now because he broke his nose last night against Austria. Same thing could happen to Messi, right? So you want to be digging for the good value stuff, and I do quite like Pulisic there. Winner and top goal scorer. Now this is more interesting to me. This is Argentina to win and Lionel Messi to finish top goal scorer to me at 8. I do like that. So I do like that. Like I say, Messi finished second top goal scorer behind Mbappe in the World Cup because he got a fuckload of penalties, and it's the same things likely going to happen in the Copa America because they will give soft penalties in this part of the world for any little fucking infraction, and Argentina will have a lot of the ball in and around the opposition 18-yard box, so Messi likely will get a fuck ton of penalties and free kicks, and he don't fucking miss. So we'll go for that. So, to reach final. Oh, wow. Okay. I actually like both these bets. To reach final, we will go... What's Argentina's path to the finals? They'll definitely make it out of the group. Then they play Mexico. They'll definitely beat them. Then they play Ecuador. They definitely beat them. Yeah, okay. Alright, on that note, we will go 3 units on Argentina to reach the final. And we will go 1 unit on Brazil. Will we? Yeah. 1 unit on Brazil to reach the final at 1.90. So that's 3 on Argentina, 1 on Brazil. Okay, to reach semi-finals. Alright. What does our semi-finals look like? Argentina, Ecuador, Brazil, Uruguay. So, Uruguay, okay. So, Argentina would win that. You got Ecuador. Not sure about that. Would Ecuador definitely be in that position? They should win that group, to be fair. If not, Canada would play Mexico. Ecuador would play Argentina. Uruguay would play Colombia. They should beat them. Brazil, USA. Okay, so we will go... Okay, so I'm pretty confident Uruguay will make it to the semi-finals. But hang on a minute. Maybe not. Because if they finish second, they would then play Brazil. Fuck that. Okay, so to reach semi-final... So to reach semi-final is actually really difficult to predict because while I do think Ecuador and Uruguay are likely to make it to the semis, that is dependent on them winning their group. I'm more confident Ecuador win their group, to be fair. The odds are only 3.0. Yeah, nah, it's not worth taking any of them. Competition specials. First time winner. No, we won't bother with that. Outright forecast. Nah, I'm not going to bother with that. Finalists. Argentina and Brazil finalists. Yeah, we'll have a bit of that. At 3.25. We have 1 unit on that. The props aren't that interesting for this tournament, are they? Stage of elimination. Here we go. Okay. Alright, this could be a bit of fun. So I'm going to move this over here just so that I can kind of cross-reference what we've mapped out as most likely outcome with this. So Argentina, stage of elimination. I think they're going to win, right? Canada, stage of elimination, I think will be the quarterfinals, which is 5.0. However, it's tricky because Chile are in that group. And remember, we were torn on who would finish second, Canada or Chile. And then after that, they've got Ecuador or Mexico, which are 2 winnable games, to be fair. So Canada to go out in the quarterfinals of 5.0 is tempting, but we're going to leave it. Chile, we think, will go out in the group stage, but we're going to leave it for now because the odds aren't great. Peru, let's take a look at this Peruvian team again, just to make sure I'm not missing anything. We'll leave it at that. Okay, Ecuador. Ecuador, we've got finishing top of the group above Mexico, Jamaica, Venezuela. Pretty sure they'll win that group, actually, Ecuador. Which means they would then play Canada or Mexico. I think they'd... No, actually, they'd play Argentina. They'd play Canada for sure. Or actually, no, they'd play Canada or Chile. Sorry. So Ecuador would play Canada or Chile in the quarterfinals. I think they beat either of those. And then they would play... Who are they likely to then play in the semis? It would be Argentina. So semi-finals 5.0. I don't mind that. We'll go for that. 1 unit on Ecuador to be eliminated at semi-finals. Let me just, I'll go through this with you, right? So if we look through, let me just make sure. So if we go through Group B, very likely to win this group. Then they'd play Canada. They finish second in the group though, then they'd play Argentina, right? Yeah, it's really important they win the group. How confident are they that they win the group? Not that confident. Actually, scratch that prop. We'll leave that prop. We'll leave that prop. Just because if they run into Argentina in the quarterfinals, which they might, they've only got to have a player sent off or drop points, something like that in a group game, and they're fucked. So, yeah, we'll leave it. We'll leave it. We'll leave that. Okay, Venezuela. Yeah, they'll go out in the group stages, I reckon. So we will do 2 units on Venezuela to go out in group stage at 1.50. Then we've got Jamaica Oh, nobody giving Jamaica any respect. 1.12 to go out in the group stage. Alright. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they made it through. I would not be surprised if they made it through. I wouldn't be surprised. They're not a bad team at all. And Mexico is shit. I know Mexico have got home advantage, but I wouldn't be surprised. Say they finish second in this group, they would play Argentina. I'm going to go Jamaica to make the quarterfinals. 1 unit on Jamaica. Alright, what we might do, we might change this though. I think there's an outside chance Jamaica will make the quarterfinals. I think this is good value. So we might be able to get slightly worse odds for them to make the quarterfinals. This is obviously, they're going to be eliminated at the quarterfinals. So we'll just keep an eye on that. 1 unit on Jamaica to be eliminated in quarterfinals. And again, I don't think it's that likely. But I do think Jamaica not that much worse than Mexico. And look at the divergence in the odds. Like, you look at Jamaica's squad. Andre Blake, decent keeper. You know, you've got Ethan Pinnock at the back. Obviously, solid as a rock for Brentford. Midfield, Bobby Reed. Up front, Antonio. Bailey. Damari Gray, like. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. We'll take a look at it. Alright, stage of elimination for Mexico. Can we even cover ourselves, right? To the point where, can we earn a bit of money on potentially Mexico to cover our bet on Jamaica? Right? Because if we take a look at the group, if Jamaica were to finish second, I'd be surprised if Jamaica and Mexico went out and Ecuador didn't. So if Jamaica make it through the group, they're almost certainly going to go out in the quarterfinals, which means this bet would hit. If Mexico make it out the group, if they finished first, they would play Canada. They might beat them. Or Argentina, which they're not going to. But I feel betting on Mexico to go out in the quarterfinals is kind of covering our bet on Jamaica. Because for me, one of these is one of these has to happen. Do you know what I mean? I'd be surprised if both of these lost. I feel one of these will lose, right? But both of them, they're not that likely with the way the tournament tree maps out. The only way that both could lose would be if Venezuela and Ecuador go through, which I don't see happening, or Jamaica and Mexico, one of them won their quarterfinal game, which isn't that likely. And if we were in that position where Mexico were playing Canada or someone like that in the quarterfinals, we could probably cash out for profit. So I'm going to go for that. Mexico to be eliminated in quarterfinals. quarterfinals at 2.25. So just bear in mind, this is where you really need to join my Discord server, because say for example, say for example Mexico might run into Canada in the quarterfinals instead of Argentina. I can just drop a message in Discord saying like cash out, hedge out, right? You have to take the L. So just, yeah, that I think I can't see both these losing. So the bet on Mexico might be an opportunity to free roll on the bet on Jamaica. That's what I'm trying to say. Alright, stage of elimination for Bolivia. Yes, I'd be surprised they made out the group. Stage of elimination for the USA. So yeah, they should make it out the group. If they finished first, they would play Colombia, which they'd have a really good chance of beating. If they finished second, they would play Brazil, which they would not have a good chance of beating. Semi-final stage of elimination. We'll leave it. We will leave that. Alright, Uruguay stage of elimination. So they would likely play Colombia, which I think they'd beat Colombia. And then they would run into, it would be Brazil, right? Yes. Alright, that one's tricky. The odds aren't great on either of those props. So stage of elimination for Colombia. So they would either play Uruguay or USA in the quarterfinals. I believe both nations would beat them. Therefore, stage of elimination for Colombia, quarterfinals, 2.37. I quite like that. Colombia to be eliminated in quarterfinals at 2.37. Okay, Panama should go out in the group. Brazil should go the whole way. Costa Rica should go out in the group. Okay, so that's that stage of elimination. Top team goal scorer. I like this a lot. I like this a lot. I do like this a lot. So for Argentina, Messi should finish top goal scorer because he's on free kicks and penalties. However, Lautaro Martinez has been absolutely banging them in Serie A this season. I think he finished top goal scorer in Serie A. So the odds are too short on Messi at 1.80. Too steep, especially when we take into consideration the fact that could get injured, something like that, and then your money's not in a very good position. So if we look at Mexico, so Santiago Jimenez from Feyenoord is the favourite. He is an absolute goal machine in Holland. The other goal scorers would likely be Alexi Vega. I think he plays for Toluca or Guadalajara Chivas. Is it Toluca? Yeah, my first guess was correct. So I'm quite happy to go for Jimenez here as top goal scorer. There is not a lot of firepower outside of him in there. The outside chance would be Alexi Vega, but he does miss a lot of chances in the Mexican Premier League. So on that note, happy to stick with Jimenez, the big target man up front. So for USA, happy to go for Pulisic as well. Because he's on free kicks, penalties, everything goes through him. For Uruguay, interesting. Where's Luis Diaz? Why isn't Luis Diaz on here? He is in the squad, right? Plays for Colombia. What the fuck am I talking about? I'm like, hang on a minute, where's Luis? It's because I saw Darwin Núñez and I immediately thought of Liverpool. without realising it's not the same fucking country they play for. Alright, so Darwin Núñez, Luis Suarez, Pellistri, Valverde. This one's more tricky because Luis Suarez, I don't know how much game time he would get. And I don't know who would take penalties for Uruguay. Would it be Bentancur? Would it be Valverde? It would probably be Suarez if he was on the pitch, but he may not start for them. So I'm going to Google it. Who... Can't imagine it would be Núñez. Who takes penalties for the Uruguay national team? Luis Suarez. Okay, that's not that helpful because I don't think he's going to start for him. Let me just take a quick look at how often they start with Suarez these days in competitive games. I'll ask ChatGPT as well. So we go to results. Let's look at some competitive games. Yeah, they didn't start with him there. They didn't start with him there either. Should we see if there's any, if they've had any penalties as well? They did, so yeah, he probably isn't going to play much. I would like to know who's on penalties. It was Núñez. Wow. Okay, well, on that note, Núñez very likely to finish top goal scorer for Uruguay, but the odds are too steep for me. Colombia, Luis Diaz. So James Rodriguez would probably still be on penalties, I would imagine, but will he... Wait a minute. Is it only given those nations? What? What? Oh, that sucks, bro. Oh, we might have to go through the top. We might have to go through the top for the smaller nations. Alright, that's fair enough. That's strange. Alright, okay. So, alright then. Does Rodriguez still get game time for Colombia? Let's take a look. I would imagine Rodriguez is still on pens. He was a phenomenal penalty taker. Let's take a look at some of their competitive games. Has he been playing? He does, in a number 10. In the number 10 role. Yeah, he plays for a man. Alright. Okay. The odds are a bit too short for me to go with that. Luis Diaz, obviously a goal machine. Yeah, we'll leave that. Brazil, top goal scorer for Brazil. Should be Vinicius Jr., but again, the odds are very, very tight. So we'll give that a miss. But what we need to do is go through all the other nations for top goal scorer lines, and then we'll come back. We will come back. I'm assuming you can bet on different... No, why you can't? What? This is crazy. Like, if I want to bet on Brereton Diaz or Jonathan David to finish top goals... Oh, here we go. Oh, no, wait. Yo, that's fucked up. That's rubbish. That is rubbish. I wanted to see what the odds were on, like, Jonathan David to finish top goal scorer for Canada and Brereton Diaz to finish top goal scorer for Chile. But it won't let me. That is annoying. That's really annoying. That's so annoying. Wow. Or like Antonio for Jamaica. That's so annoying. Wow, that's really frustrating. That's very frustrating. Alright, that's really annoyed me. Okay, player of the tournament. Let's not bother with that. Player goal milestones. Okay. Okay, this is interesting. Alright, I do like this sort of stuff. Alvarez, 2 or more goals, 1.53. No. Martinez, 2 or more. No. Messi, 3 or more. No. Valencia, 2 or more, 1.72. How far did we say Ecuador were likely to go? Nah, they may run into Argentina in the quarterfinals. So 2 or more is tempting. But if they run into Argentina in the quarterfinals, not so much. But Valencia will be on penalties, I would imagine. Pulisic, 2 or more. Again, he'd have to score 3. And they might run into Brazil in the quarters. So no, that's a no from me. Nunes, 3 or more, no. Suarez, 1 or more, no. He won't get a lot of game time. Diaz, 2 or more. No. 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 We don't like any of them. Alright, group betting. Here we go. Okay. So this is the team that's going to win the group. Alright. Okay. So, alright. Don't mind a bit of this. I actually don't like any of that. The odds are a bit short everywhere. Because I'm thinking Ecuador and USA are very tempting to win their groups. Because there's real incentive to win these groups. Because if you don't win Group B and C, you're playing Argentina or Brazil in the quarterfinals, which you definitely don't want. Or you're more than likely playing Argentina and Brazil in the quarterfinals. But the odds too short, right? They're a bit shit. To finish bottom of the group. Okay, maybe we'll guess something here. I'm very interested. This is way more interesting to me. Way more interesting. Okay, I like Peru to finish bottom of that group. So we'll go with that. We'll go with that. 1 unit on Peru to finish bottom of the group at 2.40. Finish bottom of Group B, Venezuela, yes. 1 unit on Venezuela. Finish bottom of the group at 3.50. Let me just double check Venezuela's squad before I do anything stupid. Actually, scratch the Venezuela bet. I forgot this squad is quite a bit stronger than I originally thought. They'll just be well organised and difficult to break down, so they'll be tricky to play against. Way more tricky than Jamaica. So if we look at the finished bottom of Group C, yeah, we'll give that a miss. Bottom of Group D, it will give that a miss as well. Alright, winners group, nope, we won't bother with that. And then what the hell just happened there? And then the final category, group qualification, yes or no. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So this might be where we can potentially bet on some of the things that we want to bet in a different way. Right? So, group qualification, Canada, yes. It'll be between Canada and Chile. What props do we already have? We'll give it a miss. Peru. We've already got a bet on Peru, right? To finish bottom of the group, yeah, we'll stick with that. It's better odds. Ecuador, Jamaica, Mexico, Venezuela, Bolivia, Panama, Uruguay, USA, Brazil, Colombia. Yeah, okay, that's pretty much it, man. I think that's going to be it for our props. I'm really, really, really disappointed that I can't bet on which player is going to be top goal scorer for like Canada and Chile. That pisses me off. So the range of props here are actually more limited than I thought they would be. So we'll pull this back over. So these are the props that we came up with. Not as many as for the Euros, but it's a smaller tournament with not as many variables. So we've got 1 unit top goal scorer Pulisic, Argentina and Messi to finish top goal scorer. 3 units on Argentina to reach the final. 1 unit on Brazil to reach the final. Argentina and Brazil finalists. 2 units on Venezuela to go out in the group stage. 1 on Jamaica to be eliminated quarterfinals. 1 on Mexico to be eliminated quarterfinals. 1 unit on Colombia to be eliminated in the quarterfinals. 1 unit on Jimenez, top goal scorer. 1 unit on Pulisic, top goal scorer. 1 unit on Peru to finish bottom of the group. Those are our bets. Hopefully they produce a profit. Don't go too big on them. Don't lose your ass. It's a bit of fun to make watching the tournament more interesting. But I do think they're good value. We do perform well on this type of bet long term. We do make money betting on football most months these days. I think we made a profit in 8 of the last 10 months. So we're doing big things, doing good things. If you want to get all my live betting tips for football, they're posted on Telegram. I'll leave a link in the description below. It looks like this. You get mobile alerts whenever I place a live bet. Get on it. Have a great day. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. I will see you in the next video. Nice one, guys. Take care. Bye.